Can't believe it's already the 18th.
Oh, I mean, you want to talk about time? I think it's a construct.
That is true.
I could talk about time for an hour. I'm serious. I have opinions held loosely about time.
Kind of like how age is just a number.
Well, so actually age is important because it's a marker of how old your physical body has been on this plane. So it's a little bit like you're 40, like this body physically has been here 40 years, but your spirit, who knows? What did I say?
Millennials. I think we've been here for millennials.
Oh, absolutely. You don't want me to get in that, do you? I will.
That'll be for season 2. Okay, welcome back everyone to this week's episode of Small Talk Tuesday. I'm back. I am your host, Jennifer Razan, and with me once again, the awesome, amazing Ian Hawk McLeod.
Amazingly awesome, right?
Amazingly awesome.
That seems to be my qualifier. I'm not sure. It seems a little buttery, like I'm from California, but, you know, I'm kind of buttery from California. So
Buttery is good.
I like butter.
Who doesn't like butter? Come on.
Vegans?
True. Well, they have vegan butter.
Yeah, but it's not from milk.
True.
From a cow. It's all right, man. I think I wasn't saying that being vegan's bad. It's just more like, do they like butter the way we like butter and pork and all those? No.
I don't know.
What would a vegan think if they actually tasted sisig on top of white rice?
That is a good question. I don't know.
Conversion.
I have had like vegetarian friends who've converted back to eating meat.
Oh yeah, because they need the iron. They realize, can't not completely. No, I think you should do whatever you got to do. I think I'm moving into the stage where I can never quite give up pork because culturally it would be insensitive to our Filipino roots.
Same.
But giving up red meat is something that I've been working on, but I can see myself getting to just chicken and fish and then moving on to the yogi stage of my life.
I can see that.
But once in a while, when we're having a fiesta, and we're having a lechon, I'm going to have it.
You're going to have it. I mean, there's no way that, especially if you're going to be in a Filipino environment and all the food around you, all the delicious food.
And if you're in the Philippines, it's more about eat all the bits. So it's not like you're going to be able to be like, hey, can you give me this part of the pig? It's like, what?
No, they do all of it.
All of it.
I mean, the only thing for me is like there's certain dishes that I can't handle too well.
Itigwan?
Yeah, that's one.
That's basically it's blood soup.
Yep, pig's blood. I mean, it's kind of like almost like what was that, the one from the UK, the blood sausage?
Yeah,
I can't do that.
And balut.
I tried it once.
Yeah, great.
Not my thing. Not my thing. Not whatsoever.
And but I do enjoy me some sisig. Of course, most American Filipinos like it's pancit and lumpia.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, I think what's more important is like crispy pata and some other things that I love.
Sinigang.
See, so if I'm like a white dude who knows all this food, is it like I'm an imposter or am I really Filipino? Can we talk about being Filipino-American?
Sure.
Super.
I came here in 1989.
You were born in the Philippines?
Born in the Philippines.
Where?
Quezon City. So it's like right outside of the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mama J and I immigrated here in 1989.
How old were you?
I just had turned 5.
We
came here June 1989. So literally 36 years now.
And were you already speaking Tagalog?
Oh, yeah. I was very fluent in Tagalog when I came here. But, of course, being in a new country, I was forced to assimilate.
Yeah, assimilation seems to be the Filipino way, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think? I have opinions, held loosely, but...
Seems like colonization.
Yeah, the Philippines have always been conquered. Whether it be the Chinese or the Spanish or the Americans, right? Mm-hmm. And so...
But also the thing is, like, it wasn't as embraced as it was, at least in the last few decades. I mean, we're kind of getting better, but it's still not getting better.
You mean being Filipino? Yeah, I think that I mean the last 5-10 years, the Filipino culture, especially young Filipino-Americans, have started to really identify that. I mean, look, my mom is mestiza. I mean, she was born in Manila, and she immigrated as she became a citizen of America in '89. But before, I mean, on her father's side was rooted through Spain, and then on my grandmother's side, my Lola, it was rooted through Chinese roots. And so it gets really interesting, right? Because we always go like, wait, you tell somebody like, hey, the Filipino race is not quite pure. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, it's a mixture. It's a hybrid, right? And there's so many jokes about it. Like I think Joko called us the Mexicans of Asia.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I always heard it coming up from, not to me, but to my friends, like, oh, you jungle Asian.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's the totem pole of like, hey, if there's an Asian totem pole, see, people are going to be like, look at that white guy. What is he saying? It's like, I'm 50%. My mom's an immigrant from the Philippines. And I think that a lot of people don't look Filipino that are Filipino. And I think that we have to understand, like, culturally, the flag, all that stuff is important to us because at the end of the day, I have a mabuhay spirit in my heart.
Right. And the thing is, it's a way for us, especially for those of us who haven't been to the motherland in years, it's a way for us to connect with our culture and who we truly are. Because we can't, there's no hiding it whatsoever. As much as, society likes to bury certain things, like, no, we are embracing our origins. Because in America, there's really, the origins here are not for us.
Did you say the origins are not for us? I mean, I had that sentiment. Obviously, I look like a white man, so that's the privilege I get from on the exterior point. But I've had Filipino family, and I wear slippers in my house. I'm wearing slippers right now. But I think the point is like, I've said it before, but I think the idea is that everyone loves America. And America doesn't love everybody.
Right.
And, part of it is that you see in Chinese culture, like we have Chinatown in LA, we have Koreatown, little Tokyo. And, Filipino town is like Frogtown, right? It's so small because and I say we, like my mom and more like my Filipino family, it's all been about assimilating.
Right.
And part of it is like when my mom came to America, it's like, it doesn't matter if you speak Tagalog. It's more like we have to speak English really well.
Right. And the thing for me is like, I lost speaking Tagalog for years. And it wasn't really until the last, I would say maybe 15 years, I started relearning the language.
And why did you lose it?
Because English was the only thing that was spoken, really. But luckily, I'm very fortunate that my mom, Mama J, she spoke the language at home. So I could still understand it. But I just couldn't respond to it because in the outside world, the only people who I knew spoke Tagalog was my mom and my aunts. And I'm not around them most of the time. And it's usually just my classmates and people in society. So I had to speak English.
And so then it becomes the first gen Filipino-Americans, right? The Fil-Am. So it's like this idea of like, I've had friends my whole life that, they were their parents was the generation that came over. And so there's kind of like hardworking, this kind of, we made our way. And then they have children who have had American privilege in terms of like they have been in the culture, American culture since they were born. And they have a hard time connecting with those that are in the Philippines or from the Philippines because of,
right.
I don't know what it is. Why do you think it's hard for them to connect? I mean, they connect on a cultural level, but there is, right. I've seen it where there's some Filipino Americans going like, I don't speak Tagalog and I don't know how to connect.
The thing is, it's also, it's up to where the parentals, they're part of, I wouldn't quite say the problem, but it's part of that equation where they didn't encourage that. I've known some friends who have households where they didn't really do much in terms of reconnecting with, the culture that they grew up with. They just really just make your kids like, you're American, stay American, speak English, nothing else. So which is why like as we grow older, some people find it hard to relate. So when they go to the Philippines, you kind of feel like a fish out of water and whatnot. And there's a stereotype in terms of like, some of the people from the motherland will be like, oh, you're American, Asian American. It's like, yeah, trying to fit in, but it's like.
Do you think it's a look down? They look down on you, or more like? Because I think the other part is we have a lot of family friends that are Filipino that were first gen. They have their kids obviously live in the Philippines. They came to America to work hard and then send money back. That's super common,
right?
But the idea is like, do you feel that way? Do you feel like they? Because I guess there's a pride. There's a pride in coming to America and working and sending money back because it's so huge for your family,
right?
But is it the reverse where it's like, oh, that's amazing, you're in America, or is it more like, oh, you're not one of us?
It's a mix of both. It's kind of like there's a kind of like a societal thing on the surface layer where it's like, oh, you're Filipino-American. I was like, you're not really Filipino. I was like, well, yeah, I am cultural. Like I was born to Filipino parents, so how am I not Filipino? It's like,
strange.
So like, and I've heard some people say it's like, it's like in America half the times like we're not looked at as Americans because we're different, and then they get that sort of same experience when they try to go back home where it's like, well, you don't consider us Filipino, then what are we? So we're like in the in between of Pacific Ocean somewhere. And there's that conundrum where it's like, it's a continual thing where it's like it's like we always have to try to prove ourselves that we are enough to be Filipino or enough to be American.
Boy, that's my language right there. I don't even think you believe I'm really Filipino, except that you just had lunch with my mom maybe, but most people that were my friends or even my family are kind of looking at me like, you're too tall and pasty to be a Filipino. It didn't matter how much they loved me. They're like, we love you, but we think your mom maybe stole you from the hospital, or you were adopted because your mom's 5 foot, nothing, and you're 6 foot something.
Did you ever have, like, when growing up, did you have that people coming up to you going, oh, is that your nanny?
Yeah, that's my nanny, right? And then I think that's when I was a child. So then it flips, right? I'm walking in the mall and, taking my mom out, have lunch, and then I buy a pair of sneakers with my own money for myself. But I still hold my mom's hand, when she's walking, because she's a little wobbly on her knee, bad knee. And I get the look like, ugh, gross. And I'm like, why are they looking at me like that?
Right.
It's because they think she's like a cougar. Like, that's my lady. I'm like, dude, that's my mom. I was like, no, it's not, sir. It's a little bit of that. So it's like, I've got it both ways. And like I said, having a lot of Filipino friends and family coming up, I had so much pride because it was like, my mom is from another country and she's an immigrant and she worked really hard to be here.
Right.
And then she came from my Lola, who was the youngest of 6. And my great-grandfather was a Dehita, and then before that a Uwi, and like they were pure Filipinos, but because I just don't look at the cover of the book, essentially it's like, no, that guy must be about motorcycle riding and football, and
it's all the stereotypes,
yeah. So I used to suffer because I felt like I had a big identity crisis. Like my other brothers are the same, they're 50%, but I don't think they identify as Filipino much. For me, I just always felt really close to my Filipino family, the roots of it. And so I bear, I carry that flag because it's who I am. I don't look it. That's what I guess my point about identity is. I was always sad about it.
Yeah.
Because you saw me. I've been on set where people are like, "Oh, you're not Filipino." I'm like, "I'm Filipino."
Oh yeah.
They know you're not. I'm like,
as if like mixed culture kids don't exist.
They don't exist, right? The gray race. But more, I was kind of it's a choice to be offended, but I was offended more because it's like, why wouldn't you believe somebody when they say that? It's not like if I were going to use a Asian race to be like, hey, I'm half Japanese. I'm half Chinese. It's not saying like, oh, you would choose to be half Filipino. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's annoying. But at this point in my life, it's more about, I've learned so much from my Filipino heritage. And
you've embraced it. And I've seen you grow in the last few years that we're close proximity to each other. No, you've embraced it fully.
Well, I live it, I mean, I just love Manny Pacquiao and love karaoke and love Filipino food. Just because
karaoke like karaoke?
I'll kill you on the magic mic, though. Give me the mic. I'll score 10.
Well, I have to write one for the next
Yeah, but we have to wait till like 2 a.m. That's when I get real good. You know, like your titas and titos, they start, they grab the
They're
mic.
belting it out, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
no.
but it's like around 2:30, 3 a.m. when you're tired. They're like ready to go.
That's true.
They're ready to go, lubed up, liquor, and they're ready to go.
I mean, like, there have been like instances when I remember like the few times I've been back to the Philippines, like there be people singing in all hours of the night.
That's what I love about our culture very much, to be honest, because we all, I mean, you've seen how we, you know, and I say we, not they, the Filipinos, but like we eat with the fork and spoon, right?
Mm.
But like I hear stories.
Which is kind of weird because I've had people like look at me like weird because I eat with a fork and spoon. I was like, well, aside from the convenience of it, because it's so much easier to like scoop everything into one spoon. It's like, so there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
No.
the spoon is not just designed for a soup.
It's not, but I also think it goes back to the roots of like, if, you know, in the theory is like, if you're in the jungles of Philippines, you know, the idea is like you crouch down and you're like, I've heard it from family and friends, like you huddle down, you get food, you get a bowl, you're fighting to live, right? You have to share food and stuff. So I think for me, it's more about no matter how much sacrifice they've made, the Filipino culture of being conquered and all those things, they still do everything with a happy heart, and they find ways to find joy in family and togetherness. But it's about singing, it's about dancing, and it's super about smiling. Mm-hmm. And that's why you know I'm Filipino, because no matter what happens, I'm always going to be like, dude, we're here.
We're very resilient.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things I enjoy, like whenever I go down there, it's like, you know, they don't have much in terms of like, if I'm going to compare it to the things that I have here. But the thing is, every day they're always finding something joyful.
They be positive about it, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a sense of like, you know, there's so many cultures, right? There's kind of ancestral traumas and things that carry on. I think it's just the idea that there's this kind of long enduring feeling when you're Filipino that we will find a way.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Always.
And life and health and food and, you know, work and everything. We're going to work hard.
Which is amazing. You know, it's like that work ethic. Work ethic, yeah.
Yeah, work ethic for sure. Work. And also, like, you know, it doesn't mean we're not happy. I mean, we have the whole thing of the food shame, right? Can I share the food shame?
Sure.
You know, I learned this at a young age, like going up to Alameda and seeing my family in Oakland, my pamilya. You have the big spread, you know, all the food, especially if you're visiting, you know, it's all the food.
Oh, yeah.
And I was young. I had two brothers, so I always had this mentality, like, fill up your plate, eat as fast as you can because you can get seconds. I made that mistake when I was young, though, when I first started seeing all the Filipino family, you know, because I realized I would eat, and then I'd eat all of it. And then they'd be like, you want some more? And I was like literally full. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of full. There was a sense of like, okay, but super offended.
Yeah.
And so I learned over the years, like, start slow. A little bit, finish it, and when they go, you want more, you say absolutely, and they get excited because you're like, hey, he likes it, but also it's honoring, right? Respect. But the other thing is, like, you go into a family thing, and there's two comments. One is like, oh, you look so good. Like, you look great. What have you been doing? Working out, whatever, right?
I've had that many times.
And then the other one is they, you know, after my first plate and I go the second.
Oh, you look fat.
Tita taps me on the belly. How are things? You look healthy.
Healthy is what I'm saying. You gained weight, dear.
That's messed up. Why is weight always a top topic? What is? I have this. Is it? I have a round belly. I'm roundish.
That's fine.
But I'm wondering, like a lot of my Filipino homies and family, that a little round right here. It's because of the rice, no?
It's a cultural thing based on what they see in society, kind of like the celebrities and whatnot.
Oh.
So there's like this kind of like a thing of like, if you're not skinny, you know, kind of, you know, you have to look at this certain thing. Because if you look at the entertainment down there, it's like a lot of them, you know, do a lot of skin whitening and all that stuff. It's like they're trying to emulate.
They want to let me? Oh no! Don't do that.
It's like
color so bad.
This is why I'm happy that I have my tannish color.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care for
So
Anyway.
I mean, my thing is like, when are we gonna realize like that little pooch I got,
Yeah.
like this little round thing that all my family, my mom has, we all have that thing. It means we're happy, and I think we should bring that back. You know,
We should.
look at that guy.
I mean, for me, it's like I've always had like full plates, no matter what, multiple full plates.
Even if and the thing is, even if I run, it's like, dude, he's got amazing legs, and then core work, you need some core work. It's just like, it's just, look, I choose to eat over the core work. It's okay.
Because it's delicious food. And you can't.
So good.
You can't not.
Especially with some vinegar and some
Banana ketchup.
and the ketchup. Yep.
The Jufran. Only Jufran.
Yeah. What do you think about Jollibee?
I love Jollibee. It's been a childhood staple of mine.
Yeah, it's funny watching Americans eat. I mean, look, I'm like an imposter. Like, you're not Filipino. But if like, do you like spaghetti? It's like, yes. Do you like it with sugar and spaghetti? Like there's a flavor profile that a lot of people are like, ooh. I'm like,
because they're so used to like the bitterness of the tomatoes and the kind of like the Italian version. So when they taste something different, they're like, ooh. It's like, what? It's like, no, it's good. It's just you're not used to the taste of it. It's like once you get used to the taste of it, there's nothing wrong.
I mean, people are like, oh, chicken's chicken. I'm like, no, Jollibee's different.
No, yeah.
It's sweet flavor, but we're gonna look pretty bad. I'm gonna say this one, but we love running all those things. But I sent a video to you and JJ, our homie. He's Filipino-American, but a guy he went to In-N-Out and got like an animal style burger or a veggie, and then he went to Jollibee and took that chicken and he put it in In-N-Out, and then he dipped it in the gravy. And yeah, part of me was like, whoa, I want to try that. Too much? No.
Not really. I mean, Jollibee does make a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, but they got nuggies now. Did you hear about that? They have a whole new. Oh yeah, and then I think they call it like a lunch nuggie and like a break with nuggie. Like they're basically bringing out the nuggets.
Oh, I gotta try that.
I hope that they kind of, no offense to everyone that loves Chick-fil-A, that maybe they will, they'll overconquer Chick-fil-A.
I mean, it's getting there in terms of like being known now.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing because I remember when there was only when they opened it. It wasn't Glendale. It was like LA-ish, and that was the only place you could get Jollibee and all like the Eagle Rock. And it's like
the Eagle Rock Mall, right?
Yeah, and
boom!
Like,
shout out to Eagle Rock.
Whoop, Eagle Rock,
Glendale, Eagle Rock,
and that was the only place you could get Jollibee. Now it's like all over the world. We could get one from Italy, UK. I think they recently opened up like in last year, New York.
Wow.
So they're really kind of like getting there in terms of like the fast food market.
Yeah, I think what makes it authentic is like I'll just straight call it out like that. It's like, how do you know you're Filipino? It's like, well, because in Eagle Rock across from the mall is Arco. The Arco, not Arco Gas.
Arco Foods.
Oof, so good.
Still there.
Oh, I know. I'm just too far away. That's how I think about driving there and just like getting
just
myself some sisig.
Call me up. I'll be like, we'll eat there. Come on, let's go.
And even though I love brown rice, I still gotta have that white rice.
Yeah, I never really got into why people like brown rice. It's really just literally white rice with the husks.
They told me it was healthier.
I don't know about that.
I know. My thing is like, why would you have brown rice with fried pork on it? You might as well just go for it, no?
Exactly. Just eat it. Just eat rice in moderation. That's all you need.
How many meals a week do you have rice with it?
In terms of,
well, it's just, I mean, every staple Filipino family typically has, they have the bag of jasmine rice, and they have the rice the big box with all the rice in it, and then a rice cooker, and then
I used to have a lot of the foods I eat no matter what. I kind of eat in small moderations now.
Yeah.
So maybe twice a week I'll have rice, but I'll still eat rice. It's not like I'm going to give it up.
You're not discriminating against rice or anything.
It's so good. Like you mix it up with like adobo, the sauces and all that stuff. That's all you need. Or soy sauce. So that's all you need.
Can I tell you a few things that I also love about being Filipino?
Sure.
So bomb at dancing. They can dance, bro.
Oh yeah.
Break dancing, dance. They want to get down. We love to dance.
Jabberwockies.
All of it. All of it. B-boy breakdowns.
And that's one thing too. Like we love embracing so many other aspects of other cultures. Which is
How about
amazing.
our love for basketball?
Oh, we love basketball.
Insane, right?
I mean, we have our own, version of the NBA. Is it PBA? PBA.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. Like some of my favorite videos I watch on social is in the back jungles of the Philippines where people are playing barefoot. But like, I've seen them play in like a monsoon of water. They're like, we're still hooping.
There's in my aunt's house, in Manila. There's actually a little. You'll see this a lot though too. Down the street, there's like a little corner, and they have like a makeshift hoop.
Nice.
Which is really cool. So if you're driving by with like a car or, coming back on a tricycle, you can see the kids like playing out there, just having fun. And it's like, reminds you of street ball here in the States.
I just regret that I was decent at basketball, but I should have pursued it deeper so I could have been somebody in the Philippines.
You could.
I'm pretty tall.
Just practice your
But
jump.
they got mad handles. All of my Filipino homies that play basketball, they may not be able to dunk, but they can drive, teardrop. They got that little baby hook, and they can dribble. They can shoot.
I mean, I was about to say it's not too late.
It might be too late for me, but I could always start like a over 50 Filipino, no, not 50, but a Filipino-American league here.
I mean, there are some, I think.
I just want to rock the colors. I'm always rocking the red, white, and blue, but not in America. I'm always
Yellow.
rocking the
Don't forget yellow.
Philippines. Yeah, and the yellow star, of course.
Yep.
One thing I was going to say, though, is let's talk about the present, which is I love art. I love film. You love art, film, and I don't know. My heart is really set on all of us, the crew, me, you, JJ, Rich Uno, going back to PI, going back to the Philippines in January, maybe. My thing would be a couple things would be finding the best street artist in the Philippines and really.
There's a lot of amazing artists down there that
course.
Don't get recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things like we're a lot of people say like we're great imitators, but we could also be really original too.
Of course.
Extremely original, and it's one of the things that I think that needs a little bit more recognition.
Yeah, look how OG I am. Like, God made a white Filipino, and like, I'm doing all right. He did good.
You're doing all right.
I feel like they would have a draft, be like, you can't draft that guy. Why? Because he's a tall, pasty white dude. No, he says Filipino. It's like, show me. It's like, there's mom's right there. It's like, suspect. I'll be on the draft. I rep. You're laughing. You're laughing to be like, you ain't Filipino. No, I'm just kidding. But I do want to go back to the Philippines because I think it's just so much beautiful culture. I really want to go see all the beaches, the islands. And we talked about doing something cool there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say, like, go to if you can do islands, like, the ones that are not as super touristy and popular because you'll just get bored easily. And there's so many other things in the country that's not within, like, the touristy spots that are so amazing that hasn't been seen yet. Or hasn't been, like, too populated in terms of tourism.
Will they see me as a famous person or an anomaly? I just see me physically. I'm so tall. They'd be like, oof, look at that guy.
No, they'd be amazed because sometimes they don't see foreigners too often in certain areas.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, oh, someone who's not Filipino.
Okay, how about
quote unquote not Filipino.
under over? I want to go real low on this. Over 3 people that think when I say I'm Filipino, they believe me, or under 3 people that say, yeah, okay, I believe you.
Over.
Oh, you're optimistic. You're Filipino. I think it's gonna be under 3.
No, like if they say that, if you
If
tell
I
them,
say it,
yeah, they'd be like, oh, really?
yeah, I'm
That's
like,
usually the expression.
kumusta ka? Oh, maputi. And then I see her and I'm like, oh, maganda. Mahal kita. And they're like, oh, did you just Google Translate that? It's like,
No, the cool thing is like we're very welcoming, no matter who you are.
Dude, I'm gonna start dancing and they're gonna realize in the first 7 seconds
They will love it.
that I'm not a white dude fully. Somehow I have a hybrid dance moves.
As long as you can participate in the line dances, you're good.
That's the thing. I'm Filipino. I'm down for everything.
Good.
I say yes to everything.
I've said no to certain things like karaoke, but
Why though? It's not about having the best voice, even though they really belt it out.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's the pride.
I have
in having a good
cousins who
voice.
can like sing. And I was
My
like,
thing is like, because I don't have a great voice. It's more about being an entertainer. You know, like you gotta perform it, even though you know.
yeah. I mean, maybe after a couple of drinks.
Wow. Okay. I like that.
I mean,
Noted.
my best friend's birthday last year, she had hers at a karaoke bar. So I was like, just give me a couple of drinks, I'll sing something.
To be Filipino.
I love it.
I think it's so. I love it so much, and I'd be curious how what things I would have to do to prove it, my heritage. But I think more important is that I just have so much love in my heart for our people and what they've done, and the sacrifice they made, and I look forward to going back to the motherland, as they say.
You haven't been yet, right?
I have not.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
I know. I'm too old not to have gone, but again, it was one of those things like growing up, the Filipinos that kind of made it to on my mom's side, they kind of turned it in the card, I think, and they just kind of lean into like, we're Californians, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Then you find out like, oh my gosh, our roots go all the way back.
Yeah.
So
you'll have an amazing time, especially when you're trying to reconnect with your roots as much as possible. There's so much to learn.
So much.
There's so much to learn. And it's one of those things like, I'm very fortunate I've been able to go back several times in the last 15 years. So every time I get to go back, it's one of those things where I love being down there. The simplicity of life down there, like I love it.
Could you see yourself growing old there? Or more like just always go like having a place there, having a place here?
More like 50-50.
I'll take 50-50.
50-50 is good. And because, I don't want to be away from, because majority of my family is still down there. A lot of Mama J's family is like just me and her when we came here, and then a couple of cousins in the East Coast, and that's it. So a lot of them are still, back home. Whenever we get the chance, we would stay there as much as possible that we're able to, and just, enjoy our time there.
And how many suitcases you bring? One suitcase for you and the rest gifts, or?
Buying boxes.
Yeah, but I mean, when you pack, you take a lot of stuff back, no?
I don't know if this is like a smart move, but my mom and I ship the boxes before we travel. Because the last thing we need is to have 2-3 giant boxes as we're checking in our luggage. Like, we don't want to lug all that. So usually what we like to do is kind of ship 2 boxes, or depending how many stuff we need beforehand. Like maybe a couple months beforehand. So by the time we get there, it's there already. So I'll help, just open it up and give it to our family and whoever. And all we have to do is just take our luggage when we go on the plane.
Love it.
Because I've seen people take 6 boxes.
That's crazy.
And which is why we're kind of known for the boxes.
The boxes.
The balikbayan boxes.
V-Bucks. Well, I love this conversation.
Yes.
I love that you see it though. There's this kind of more of a hybrid generation. I think there's a lot of young Americans. Now it's like third generation, and they found this great pride in the Philippines, and you see it a lot of in content creators.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That it's like it doesn't matter how you look, because Filipinos look all different ways.
I mean,
and I'm excited to see them kind of creating content and sharing their voice.
Like when I'm scrolling on TikTok or something, half of the stuff I'm seeing is actually content creators in the Philippines, or people trying to reconnect with their roots. So which is amazing to see, and just seeing them as being happy and just discovering so many new things. It's amazing.
I'm excited when we start making film where to tell the Filipino stories, and I'm really compelled. I think the generation, my Lula's generation and my mother's generation, there's a bridge between that generation and my mom's generation and my generation, where I feel like there's a lot of identity shifts. There's a lot of who am I really? And I think that's a really compelling question for all humans, but especially for me, I feel like, what is it to be a Filipino? I don't know. I think it's more about what is it to be a human, but I also love that, the young voices coming out from Filipino-Americans is really exciting. I love it.
It is. I mean, luckily now we're, at least with our generation going forward, we're kind of getting a little bit better in terms of recognizing, our culture, our both cultures, the American side and the Filipino side, and kind of, embracing that as much as possible. Even though there's still a little pushback or, resistance when it comes to that, we're getting better at it slowly in accepting it.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
What else you want to say?
I don't know. It's amazing. I know this is not the last conversation we'll have on this.
We haven't had this combo yet, right?
No.
It's the first time. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but I think we started with butter.
Yeah. Ended up with being Filipino-American. I mean, and it's an evolving thing, which is,
I just love that we started talking about butter. How did even butter come up?
It's a good question. I guess when I hear this back, I'll figure out why.
So
I
you
get
guys
it.
talk about, we were starting to talk about butter, and then we talked about our Filipino culture. But,
And it's a topic that, is something I enjoy discussing with you. We've talked about, certain things about this, like in our previous conversations outside of the podcast. And it's, it's something that we're always trying to understand and discover.
Whether you're being authentic or not, I really appreciate you pretending I'm Filipino. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. It does.
No, you are Filipino. Come on.
I know, but let's be honest.
Well, you
It's
don't
okay.
look it.
I don't look it at all, man.
I mean, you don't have to look. That's the thing about society is you have to look a certain way to be a certain,
Be accepted a certain way.
Yeah. I was why does it have to be that way? It's
False.
No. It's everyone is a mix of someone from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one specific lineage, so to
That's
speak.
true. It all leads back to the same place.
It is.
Thanks for having me, Jen.
Of course, for our viewers and listeners, this is the season 1 finale. So, as many of you know, last week by the time you hear this, it will be last week. I announced I am going on the Camino de Santiago pretty soon. So, the podcast will be taking a little bit of a break, which is as sad for me to do, but I got to prepare. It's going to be a big undertaking.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you. I think that, it's rare when we step out of that space of a circle of safety and predictability.
Mm-hmm.
And, wish you well in your pilgrimage. I think that, most important is that you trust your intuition, the safety first, but I think it's more about, it's not so much about making memories, but it's also about letting go of expectations of what the path will be, because the path is the path. And so when you walk it physically and you live it spiritually, the path, it's really about, you already know yourself, but you're making space to go for so long and walk, 500 miles, whatever it is that you.
Which actually, when I was preparing that podcast, I initially said it was 700 kilometers. Is actually closer to 800.
So 800 kilometers, right? So then you can have the sense of what's the rush? Mm-hmm. But also don't have expectations that anything will go your way, because sometimes the rain or things that don't go right end up putting you right where you're supposed to be to meet the right sort of people. It's Kairos at its best. It's a way for you to, you already know yourself, but it's a better way to if you've forgotten certain things about you, the path will reveal the things that you've forgotten. It's
one thing I knew from the start. I was I wasn't going to have any expectations whatsoever. I was literally just living in the moment, because I don't know what's going to happen, especially being in a foreign environment. It's I don't know, as much as I could read and from people who've been there and all the groups that I've joined just to research, there's no such thing as being fully prepared.
No, and you got to show up. But that's what I love about your courage, and I think that you're brave, to go and do something that most people never get to do, but also realizing every moment is to be lived, and you're truly living it. So I'm excited for you.
I'm excited. I think we talked about this before. I've always wanted to do it once I've heard about it. That's one thing that's always been in my mind. It's just finding that place and time to do it. And, I'm getting older. So if it's one of those things where you don't decide to do it now, it's never going to happen.
Yep.
So it's one of those things you know what? now's the time. Because if I keep saying it, it's kind of like when I said to myself, like many years ago, I was like, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to run a marathon. But nothing came of it until I actually just signed up for it and like, okay, I'm doing a marathon.
We should not, we should no longer procrastinate joy.
I mean,
I've learned this in life. We cannot procrastinate joy.
No.
We have to really, because we all think that we have to be in a certain place to, like, oh, once I have my career, and then once I do this, and I have this much money, then I'll have a family, or then I'll go travel. But that's all illusion.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that when you say yes to the universe and you go do something you've never done before, it absolutely will reveal some beautiful, beautiful truths about the world and yourself. Mostly.
Exactly. And I'm looking forward to not just the solitude, but, meeting others who are going on their adventure kind of like mine, but in my own way. And it's one of the things that I need this. I think I needed this experience. And I feel that, it's like I have to experience this to fully, to go in a spiritual sense, to fully understand a bit of the purpose of why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Mm-hmm. Amen. It's going to happen.
So I'm excited. So the next time, we'll be doing the podcast is when I come back and we'll be talking about
what happened. Just tell me more.
It's like, I'm looking forward to it. Like all the things that I'm experiencing, even in my preparation, I'm learning the capabilities of what my body can do beforehand. Because I've been somewhat practicing at least an hour a day with my backpack with the weight I'll be carrying. So I'm kind of getting used to that. So I know like what to adjust, what I need to compensate for here and there. So it's helping me prepare just enough before I go, but not too much.
Yeah, you have everything you need. Mm. Yeah, especially your mentality and your intuitive heart. That's all you need.
That's all I need.
And love, as the Beatles said.
That is true. All you need is love.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
Too bad we can't play that song because we copyright strike.
Yeah, very expensive.
Oh, man. But, yeah. So, I guess we'll end it here because, as much as I want to keep going on, we still got preparations to do and things to accomplish. But this first season was pretty awesome. I love it. Thank you for being here, my awesomely amazing friend.
Of course, I'm in the front row of your life, meaning like whatever you want to do, I'll be in the front row, rooting you on, and whatever you decide to do, it's, I'm here.
It was serendipitous that we were supposed to meet in college, so there you go.
Yeah, they call it fate.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to seeing, I look forward to being a witness to your life. I already am, but more just seeing what you do in Spain. I'm released in France. It's going to be special.
It is. So stay tuned for that, folks. And
safe travels, Jen.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. You guys will be, I'll keep you all up to date in terms of, my safety and where I am. So I'm not going to be too far away, but
no,
I'm still there.
Always.
All right, friends. So we'll end it here for season 1. Stay tuned for season 2, which is coming up likely in a couple of months until I come back. But for now, we'll end it here.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.